WWE is on top of the world. If the wrestling business is about drawing money, then the TKO WWE dynasty is Vincent Van Gogh with the bag. 2025 has been a revolving door of middling AEW stars finding a new lease on life in Titan Towers, but WWE's cup runneth over with free agents. Despite their best efforts, WWE prioritizes incoming AEW stars to entice other high-profile free agents from the rival company to follow suit. The plan has worked to near perfection. Having said that, big names like Aleister Black, Rusev and Rey Fenix are still trying to find their footing. Free agency is about situational value. Nothing more, nothing less. Free agency answers the age-old question, which WWE stars could make more money and more impact in another territory when their contract is up? Who's ready to break the bank and probably break their necks in Jacksonville? Does anybody make game changers anymore? Today, we're going to talk about WWE stars who could possibly jump ship to AEW. Who stands to make the most money from Tony Khan's bottomless bank account? And why some AEW free agent signings could be more shocking than you think. Subscribe in Swahili. Bayley is WWE's Sami Zayn, the close but no cigar babyface. Bayley has been so underutilized, WWE has now made it part of her character's storyline arc to mention all the big shows she's missed. WrestleMania 41 had no Bayley. SummerSlam? No Pam. Clash in Paris? Au revoir. WrestlePalooza is just weeks away, though Bayley's schizophrenic vignettes could lead to a return by then. Fingers crossed. Mercedes Moné, who does have creative control and a ton of influence in AEW, whether you want to admit it or not, has openly campaigned for Bayley to join her. It could be a Golden Role Models reunion. Maybe Bayley will even get to borrow one of Sasha Banks' belts. All jokes aside, Bayley feels like the perfect candidate to make a big splash in AEW's inconsistent women's division. She's done everything there is to do in WWE, but if you were to really look at the four horsewomen, Bayley feels like the most disrespected out of the bunch. Sasha Banks is a belt collector with creative control. You can't ask for much more in the wrestling business. Becky Lynch is an OPIC champion who's about to work a gigantic match opposite CM Punk and AJ Lee. Charlotte Flair has a new lease on life as part of a lovable tag team with Alexa Bliss. Right now, Bayley is just Bayley. She's the one horsewoman who's never main evented WrestleMania, and she deserves better. The same can actually be said about a fellow horsewoman in Charlotte Flair. The rise of cancel culture has neutered legitimate heels in this business. Seriously, what happened to the real bad guys of the wrestling business? Nobody wants to take a risk on a radioactive character anymore. No heel wants to be problematic no more. This generation of fan thinks heels should be their friends first and fake bad guys later, nigga, that. The number of legitimate heels who get actual heat from fans can be counted on one hand across WWE and AEW combined. Logan Paul, Brock Lesnar, Travis Scott. That's it, that's the list. Charlotte Flair in AEW would be the type of WWE-bred heel who could reinvigorate the women's division. Charlotte's done a great job rehabilitating her image as a babyface in WWE, but she would be reviled by those sickos. And she's exactly the type of heel AEW needs to help get over some of the promotion's unheralded babyfaces, like Queen Aminata, and Queen Aminata. Queen Aminata may be the queen of Nigeria, but the reigning king of WWE is Cody Rhodes. Once upon a time, King Cody reigned supreme in AEW after quitting WWE with a chip on his shoulder. Cody demonstrated as much by smashing Triple H's throne on AEW's first ever broadcast. Despite being a day one EVP, Cody Rhodes was booed out of AEW and arrived in WWE with a silver platter and another chip on his shoulder. The rest is history as WWE's quarterback has led his team to a winning record over AEW. I don't know when, but you cannot convince me that we've seen the last of Cody Rhodes in AEW. Cody Rhodes, Dusty's kid, has an old school approach to the pro wrestling business. He didn't overthink his AEW departure. He took note of the heel reactions he was getting from a bunch of ungrateful, sycophantic sickos. He had unspoken disagreements with Tony Khan, so he simply decided it's time to leave the territory. It was the greatest decision Cody Rhodes ever made since he wiped off the Stardust face paint. Cody is in his prime and he's the WWE champion, but all good things must come to an end. WWE, as usual, is already building up its next big thing, this time in the form of Braun Breaker. The future WrestleMania main eventers of African NXT are on their way, and yes, all of them will main event WrestleMania or this channel will knuck and buck until they do. Try me. The mostly useless pro wrestling media has never had any black person with a platform to hold them accountable. In fact, the only reason it took so long to create black world champions and black WrestleMania main eventers is there wasn't an Alfred Kunawa to call them out. As the one true king of black wrestling media, I'm here to do just that. And I'm sure there's gonna be no problems, right, Pablo? Right. It can't always be which white man is gonna be the face of this company. You hawking steal from black culture every time your white ass pushes don't work out. Taking a chance on a black top star isn't really that much of a chance, but I digress. Cody Rhodes has been one of the greatest WWE champions of all time, but I have a fleeting feeling that when WWE starts to phase him out of the main event, the idea of Cody returning to AEW will sound a lot more enticing than Cody taking up second fiddle to job to a new generation. Cody Rhodes remains friends with the Young Bucks, and at some point, it'll be time to leave the territory. Cody Rhodes isn't the only current WWE star who saw massive success in AEW. Jade Cargill was undefeated in AEW, and given her sample size in WWE, I gotta admit that AEW did a much better job booking Jade Cargill. It's one of those few times that AEW outclassed WWE in booking a monster. Tell me, who the f*** cares if Jade Cargill isn't quite up to snuff in the ring? Which, by the way, is an assessment I think is complete bullshit. Jade Cargill has the untapped aura, presence, and star power that's tailor-made for WWE, yet AEW was a promotion smart enough to give her an undefeated streak and flank her with baddies, which made her into an even bigger star. In AEW, Jade Cargill was a protected, undefeated, dominant heel champion. In WWE, she's a friendly, flexing babyface who has not reached the highs that she achieved in Jacksonville. If WWE doesn't figure things out with Jade over the next year or so, it might be in her best interest to go back to AEW where she was used perfectly. Though I don't know if petty Tony Khan would be professional enough to pick up where he left off with Jade as an undefeated killer, but let's face it, Tony Khan is a pussy. He kowtows to every wrestler. The blueprint for Jade Cargill's superstardom in AEW was laid by another once undefeated killer in Bill Goldberg. Goldberg left WWE on a bitter note. After being retired by Gunther at Saturday night's main event back in July, Goldberg's retirement speech was cut short due to timing issues with WWE and NBC. Goldberg did not hold back on his feelings about being disrespected in what was supposed to be his swan song. Goldberg's retirement match actually underdelivered in the ratings. If he's to wrestle again, he may need a change of scenery. Goldberg's bitter enemy Bret Hart recently complained about being disrespected by WWE himself during SummerSlam weekend. And who knows, maybe the Hall of Famers can team up as strange bedfellows in AEW. The Hurt Syndicate would definitely lay down for them, right? Austin Theory was once the apple of Vince McMahon's eye. Theory has conspicuously disappeared from WWE TV, and his former tag team partner Grayson Waller cast him to the side in a backstage segment after a year of teasing a breakup. The worst part is Theory wasn't even in his own breakup segment. Theory was starting to build some momentum as a babyface toward the end of his run, but if he comes back and does anything short of getting his get back against Grayson Waller, he'd be damaged goods. Regardless, Theory still might be damaged goods in WWE, and I think AEW would be the perfect place for him to at least rebuild himself. Pete Dunne is a short, white, European wrestler who made his name on the indies. He'd be perfect for AEW. Tyler Bate is a short, white, European wrestler who made his name in the indies. He'd be perfect for AEW. Dragon Lee actually was in AEW for a cup of coffee. He doesn't get a whole lot of character development in WWE, but every time the bell rings, he steals the entire match. That type of lack of storytelling mixed with high-risk mix-and-match wrestling is why AEW was invented. Fuck it, Dragon. Go ahead, risk some paralysis with one of them 5-star matches in Jacksonville.
Paralysis?
Pretty Deadly can be a better version of the MXM collection. MXM are great, but they're treated like a joke and relegated to Collision, which literally nobody watches anymore. Pretty Deadly is an awesome comedic tag team, but these guys can really go. AEW burned out just about every territory in the States, and the only places they can draw these days is overseas in places like Canada and London, where the UK-based tag team would actually flourish. There's room in AEW for silliness given the success of teams like MXM and the Outrunners, but Pretty Deadly could be a legit tag team that isn't hamstrung by their comedic stylings. Whether it's a homecoming, a second chance, or a shocking debut, there's just as much potential for WWE superstars to show up in AEW as there is for Tony Khan's toys to leave his bench. It would be foolish to just assume that all WWE stars will just stay put without at least testing their value on the open market. Check out this video and subscribe. Could some of WWE's biggest stars be AEW bound? Tell me in the comments!